Okay, we'll open this public hearing. I'll begin by reading the notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given and the following hearing will be held in the Bonneville County Courthouse, 605 Capitol Avenue, Idaho Falls, Idaho, May 24th, 2023 at 1:30 p.m. by the Bonneville County Commissioners for the purpose of a public hearing in relation to the application by Connect Engineering on behalf of WRI Properties LLC for rezone from agriculture A1 to general commercial C2 zone. General location of this is located at 6863 East Idaho Road, Idaho Falls, on the north side of 33rd North, which is Idaho Road. East, it's east of 50 East Louisville Highway, and southeast of US Highway 20, Bonneville County. There's a legal description published, and it was published May 9th, 2023 in the Post Registry. Wilson attendance today are planning and zoning staff, also Commissioner Brian Reed, myself, Commissioner Roger Christensen. To begin with, we are in receipt of the record for the planning and zoning. Without objection, we'll make that part of the record. Okay, part of the record. We'll start, or you presenting this, Austin?
Yeah,
With having Austin Black present the application, give us an explanation.
so Glenn, if you'll pull up the PowerPoint, just so you have the map. So a lot of the stuff was covered in the minutes you received, so I'm just gonna give you a little brief overview and a little bit of additional information. The applicant on this property is WRI Properties, also known as CBI Off-Road Fab LLC. Their requested rezone is from A1 agriculture to general commercial C2. Is it froze or something? Or?
No, it's the wrong one. I apologize. Give me one
And the land use designation on the property is commercial. So this is located just east of KJ's on Iona Road. You've got KJ's there, and then Starting Line Products, all those other businesses. And then just north across the road, basically from CBI's existing operation that they have on the south side of the road there. You can see that all around it is commercial land use. Go to the next slide, Glenn. And then you've got A1 agricultural zoning there with C2 to the west, INM1 to the south. And you've also got some City of Idaho Falls zoning jurisdiction mixed within there. The City of Idaho Falls was contacted by the applicant to see if they could request annexation into the City of Idaho Falls, since the City of Idaho Falls has consent to annex on the properties to the west. If you go to the next slide. So these two properties here, which are KJ, both owned by KJ's, the City of Idaho Falls has an agreement with them to annex when they become adjacent. The city is already adjacent across US Highway 20, and they count that as adjacency. But the city will not move forward with annexation on those properties, which means that this property that's before you today is not currently eligible for annexation. The city utilities, including water and sewer, do run in front of the property, and there's a city fire hydrant located on the property. The applicant approached the City of Idaho Falls and asked them about possibility of being served off of their services. And at the time then they become adjacent, entering an agreement to annex, and the City of Idaho Falls told them, no, we will not extend utilities and service you outside of our area until you're annexed into the City of Idaho Falls. The hydrant that's located on the property, we were in contact with the fire marshal, and the applicant has been in contact with the fire marshal from the City of Idaho Falls. Fire code is clear that if the hydrant is located in a public utility easement, it is eligible for use to put out a fire if there's one in the building. And Scott Grimmett, the fire marshal, sent Ron Anderson an email and told him if that building were to catch on fire, we will let you use that hydrant to put the fire out, and the city will use the hydrant to put that fire out. Basically saying that that hydrant could be used for the property. So that's kind of a brief overview of where we're at and all the conversations that have been had. Do you have any questions for me about any of that?
Just one question, so it's completely clear. it's not, the property is not adjacent to annexed property in the city. Is
correct.
that correct?
Yeah.
I thought it looked to me like just right across the road south.
Yeah, and I think that's incorrect because the city doesn't have that annexed, so it's not adjacent. Because the
Okay.
property owner has approached them and they won't let them annex because they tell them they're not adjacent.
And so there's no property along there adjacent, so the city cannot go there yet.
That's what they tell the property owner, yes.
Okay, thank you. When, if you know or have record of it, when did they enter into an agreement with property of KJ's to annex one of the contiguous?
It was back before 2000, I want to say the late 90s or early 2000s when they entered into that agreement.
Was that in exchange for services?
Yes, at the time.
We don't have.
I don't-
record of that.
I don't have the official documentation, no.
Would it be proper to have you bring that for us to consider?
Yeah, I can do that.
Would you make that documentation part of the record?
Nope, we can do that.
Okay. That's, I'm curious on that with the current policy. And so the line that's in the county right of way that goes by this is to sort of what?
Services Intermountain Packing that was put in by the city, which is located across the canal here and down here to the south.
I think it's along the canal. I think it's that piece.
Well, yeah, it might be right there. You come in kind of through here, but that's the railroad track.
I think it's the red that has the I and M3 on it. Right?
Yeah, it's right here. So that's been annexed.
About the other property outside the peak line of WRI Properties. That's getting cornered from that, touching diagonally.
So you're talking about this one
Right, light colored, like here.
right here?
Yeah.
So those are separate property owners. WRI doesn't own those. There's houses on both of those.
Okay, the city. Okay, because they have interpreted adjacent has been cornered before, so it's clear.
Yeah, and I think the applicant has actually even approached those property owners and some to the south across the street about annexing so that they can be adjacent because they would like to have those services for the development. And I just don't think there was any interest at this time in those people annexing.
I'm guessing you're with Connect Engineering.
Yes.
So okay, bring.
Yeah.
You may have some input on some of these things you're representing.
Yep.
Talks.
Yes, my name is Barry Bain with Connect Engineering, 2295 North Yellowstone, Suite 6. Austin's 100% right. Us and the owner have tried to do everything we can to try and annex to the city and get those services. The owner wants to annex, he wants to use those services. But the city's not allowing us to even enter an agreement unless we're annexed. And also the hard thing is it's not inside the area of impact either of the city. The area of impact is Iona Road. So for those couple of reasons, the city isn't even willing to work with us on it unless it's an annexed property. So we have talked to those two property owners, because yeah, that we would be contingent if we could get those. And then same, we've tried to reach out to these guys to work something there, and nothing has worked. Carrie at the city has said that they've sent their letters to KJ's and they haven't gotten any response.
Which letters?
To let them know that they need to annex. And they informed us, Carrie at the city, I think he was told by legal. I guess also we were informed that they can't force annex them because it's not inside the area of impact right now. So that's what we have been told. Again, we would like to annex and are willing to, or work out some sort of agreement with the city, but the city has made it very clear that they do not want to unless it is annexed. So at this time, we'd like to rezone it, move forward with a site plan, put in dry lines so that when we are annexed, that we can connect to those services, so those city services.
Dry lines,
Dry sewer and dry water lines. So
building to the.
correct, yep, and the service. Because right now the plan is to use that fire hydrant for one building that can be serviced with that, but in order to develop the whole property. Main lines are gonna have to continue through the property, so we would put dry lines in. So that when we are annexed, we would be able to hook up to the city. So currently, we would have to change the well that's there to a commercial well, and then we would do a septic system for now. And then when we are annexed, we would get rid of those and then hook up. And we have been in contact with the health department as well.
Okay, so we understand, they entered into an agreement to annex when it was outside of the area of impact originally.
Yeah, with KJ's.
KJ's did, we haven't.
No,
Okay, yeah.
KJ's entered, and it was outside the area of impact then,
Yes,
is the meat plant inside or outside the area?
it's inside the area of impact.
Yeah, Iona Road is the area of impact is what we have seen.
And they're, just to echo for the record, I know from the applicant as well as from staff, there's been much encouragement to the city of Idaho Falls to make this work. To figure something out so that we could at least get them an agreement to annex and be on the utilities, and we've reached out multiple times from both entities. And just no success with the city wanting to serve them at all because they're not annexed.
And they giving you any specific reasons? Just, no,
Just basically, no, we don't serve areas outside of the city limits.
They've expressed to us that they're finally cleaning up all of the ones that they have had. That for the past 30 years, they've been trying to annex people that have signed these agreements, and it's hard for them to do so, and they don't want to do it anymore. So they said that they're just cleaning it up and they don't want to cause more problems of that, is what they have expressed to us.
so the causes that they were only going to sell the easement for a utility that serve the area.
Yeah, there probably needs to be some discussion with the city of Idaho Falls about utilities being placed in a public utility easement and then essentially being deemed private utilities and saying that they won't service other individuals with them when they're in a public utility easement. So that's probably something that staff and public works and planning staff should get together on with the city and discuss how that all works out.
So how are you saying they're deemed to be a private utility?
Because they're selecting who they will and won't serve based on annexation, even though it's a public utility and a public easement.
But is it a public utility or not?
I guess that's what we need to clarify with the city.
Regulated by, because most utilities in the public, like Falls Water, are regulated by. UC
Yeah, and I believe the city is
on the sewer and water,
water, yeah.
like UC.
Yeah. So we'll have to, that would be a good discussion to have with their staff to try to work that out.
And in the meantime, we're just trying to be able to put something on the property. Knowing that we can continue to work through and hopefully, whether it's at annexation or if we can work through some stuff and before to be able to hook up. But we just can't, we've already tried working with the city for 4 or 5 months, and we just can't wait any longer to try and do it. So that's why we're continuing to move forward in the county.
And I'd also just like to point out from a county staff perspective, we're requiring everything possible so that when they do annex into the city, it will comply with the city standards and trying to keep up with our area of impact agreement we have with them, even though it's outside, because we know the likelihood will be that that'll be annexed into the city.
Question on annexation. They can't force annex unless you provide service to them.
Typically, no. I don't know what kind of agreement they entered into with KJ's, but that agreement that was entered into years ago should be consent for annexation at time of adjacency, so I don't know how all that works out, but I would think they already have the owner's
Right.
consent.
I'm talking about WRI.
Yeah, they can't force annex them unless they have the utilities or they're totally surrounded by the city, but they're more than 5 acres, so they couldn't anyways.
I thought I had.
Thank you, because you asked three of mine. Appreciate that. I apologize for the delay.
And we did express a little bit of a concern that the city's setting this up to become a county island inside the city if we are self-sustained. But I think there's a few reasons now why we wouldn't. One, because they are allowing us to use that fire hydrant. So rather than punching our own fire well, we're not gonna punch our own fire well. So that's one. And then two, if we were to try and continue to develop this, the sewer capacity, the sewer needs for our septic system would be astronomical and really undevelopable. So really, I think that whether they can force annex or not, the owner is going to want to annex so that you can continue to develop it.
So you say they consented to use of fire wells, requirement of international fire code?
Yes.
So. They couldn't really. Now.
There was no argument back once we brought that up that they couldn't use that hydrant for their building.
So I've got just one comment. It's not really a question, but I think it should be on the record that. At least me personally, I regret the fact that, this landowner has to now put in all of his own utilities when they're right there in the easement, they're right next to it. And regrettably, we've been turned down as we've tried to put forward an area of impacts to solve problems just like this. The city has refused to schedule a meeting with us. So that's unfortunate. I think that ought to be realized as part of the decision of whether this should go forward.
Yeah, along those lines, another comment, this is an extension of a policy that they have practiced. I mean, if they have a policy to try to get some way to have successful doing that, but the practice they have with a project line down a county road without providing these services, which in a way blocks out the other services from coming in. And that's what we may want to do in research. True level requirements or public utilities. Permits.
And Commissioner Reed reminded me of one other thing that I wanted to bring up. Back when we had entered into area of impact renegotiations with the city of Idaho Falls back in about 2014, and we had tried to work through an agreement then. The one thing that the city had brought up was being able to do a pilot program of a property where utilities could be extended to that had an agreement to annex to see how that all worked. And with this particular project, I approached City of Idaho Falls planning staff and asked them about this being a project that we could consider as part of our area of impact negotiations to try to see what would and wouldn't work. And I was turned down on that as well, so. That's all that I have. Do you have anything
No,
else?
that's all I have.
Okay, there's a public hearing here, so we will call this hearing for public comment to the close. We will have Austin submit to each commissioner proposed findings and get their input. How long will it take you?
Probably a couple weeks is all.
Generally, we've done most of it, except or reject those during the one reach the 10 o'clock. So, our agenda.
I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barry.